Hello students, welcome to Time Online Classes. This is an English language session today, and here I'll take you through those questions that were posed in the actual CLAT exam in the year 2025. Okay, so there are a total of 4 passages and each of these has 6 questions. So we have 24 questions and I'll take you through each of these sets and discuss all of them with you. So please stay with me till the end. This, I hope, will give you an understanding of what you can expect in the actual exam whenever you appear for it. Okay, so here we go. Here's the first passage and take a look. This is the passage. Also mentioned at the end is from where it's drawn. So this has been extracted with certain modification or edits, as we call them, from Education, which was written by or given as a speech by Swami Vivekananda, and there are these questions later on. Okay, so we begin. Education is not the amount of information that is put into your brain and runs a riot there, undigested all your life. Now, what does this sentence mean? Swami Vivekananda says that when he talks about education, that it is not the amount of information that you keep getting or that keeps filling your brain, and then he says runs a riot there, means in your mind it creates some kind of confusion, undigested, because all the information that we get may not be the kind we can assimilate or we can understand in its exactness or in its totality, and this happens throughout our lives. We must have life building, man making, character making assimilation of ideas. Okay, so this is what he has prescribed, that the kind of education or the kind of ideas that we need to have should be those that are life building, that have an impact on our lives and should be man making. Now, man making here has nothing to do with the making of man or human being as a race or as an, but as an individual. So what kind of change or improvements it brings to a person as an individual is what he is talking about. Character making assimilation of ideas. Assimilation means when ideas are received, then they are broken down, understood, and then that is what the author here says, that is assimilation of ideas. If education were identical with information, libraries would be the sages of the world and encyclopedias would be rishis. Now, why does he say this? That's because if we were to understand education as something which is similar to or equal to information. So, if we understand education to be equal to information, then where is information stored? Information is stored in libraries and it's also stored in encyclopedias. So, then these libraries and these encyclopedias would be sages and rishis. And now, why does the author use the word sages and rishis? Because sages and rishis are those people who have a lot of education or information. So, we cannot equate education with information alone, and there is so much more that we need to do in order to understand what information comes to us, to be able to use it in our lives. Getting by heart the thoughts of others in a foreign language. Now, by foreign language, he actually points to English. And stuffing your brain with them and taking a university degree, you consider yourself educated. So, this here what he says is the common understanding or the understanding of the common man with regard to education, that you go learn English, stuff your brain with the ideas of others as in those who are not Indians, and then take a university degree and then you consider yourself educated. Is this education, is what he questions. What is the goal of your education? Open your eyes and see what a piteous cry for food is rising in the land of Bharat, proverbial for its food. Will your education fulfill this want? Now, when Swamiji asks or poses this question, he actually implies that the goal of education should not be restricted to merely gaining or receiving and housing or holding information in your brains, but also learning to use it so that it can come in handy or do some good for all the people around you. And then he gives an example of what the state of the country during the time this text was written was. There was a piteous cry for food. So there was starvation. The people of India were affected so badly, or Bharat actually should be the actual word used. So he says the cry for food is very piteous. The people, the common man is in a very miserable, pathetic condition. And will your education fulfill that want for food or for something which is as basic as food? We want that education by which character is formed. The strength of mind is increased, the intellect is expanded, and by which one can stand on one's own feet. So, according to him, this is the actual role and goal of education. What we need to study independent of foreign control are different branches of knowledge that are our own, and with it English language and Western science. We need technical education and all else that will develop industries so that men, instead of seeking service, may earn enough to provide for themselves and save for a rainy day. So this is also important. He says that we need to study, and we need to study independent of foreign control. That means what we study should not be something that is fed to us, but something that is not dependent on what those foreign bodies or foreign institutions give us. And what we need to study are what? Different branches of knowledge that are our own, because India is such a rich country in terms of cultural heritage. And with it English also. Why? Because we need to communicate or interact with people outside our domain, outside our country, and so we need to learn English because it is the lingua franca of the world. It is the common language which is used by people all around the world for communication. So we do need to learn English and Western science also, which will put us on par with the mindsets of those people. We need technical education and everything else that will develop industries, because that's the need of the day, so that men, instead of seeking service, may earn enough to provide for themselves and save for a rainy day. The end of all education, all training should be man making. So this is what, according to Swamiji, is most important, that the end of education should not be just to earn but to develop character, what he calls man making. The end and aim of all training is to make man grow. The training by which the current expression of a will is brought under control and becomes fruitful is called education. So this, according to him, is the actual definition of education. Evolution of man, mental or intellectual evolution. What our country now wants are muscles of iron and nerves of steel, gigantic wills which nothing can resist, which can penetrate the mysteries and secrets of the universe and can accomplish their purpose in any fashion, even if it means going down to the bottom of the ocean, meeting death face to face. Okay, so this part also has all those aspects that Swamiji says we need as a nation, and all this will contribute to our growth and development. There is only one method of attaining knowledge. It is by concentration. So that should be focused upon. The very essence of education is the concentration of the mind. From the lowest to the highest man, all have to use the same method to attain knowledge. So this is something that's applicable to everybody and is not restricted to a few, is what we get to understand from this sentence. The chemist who works in the laboratory concentrates on elements to analyze them. Knowledge is acquired by concentration. So at the end, we finish this text by a very important reiteration of the point that he has introduced in this paragraph, that knowledge is acquired by concentration. Okay, so I hope the understanding of this passage is clear. Now let's move to the questions, and here's the first of them. Education as described by the author means what? Can we now, so what is important here are these words, as described by the author. So we need to focus on this part and not go for that choice which gives a general understanding of education. So from the perspective of the author, what does education mean? So we've got an understanding of what the point of view or opinion of Swami Vivekananda has been in this text. So based on that knowledge, we will go and answer this question. So education, does it mean information, library, degrees, or none of the above? Now in the first paragraph itself, the author has told us that if education were identical with information, then what would happen? Libraries would be the sages of the world and encyclopedias would be rishis. So we go back to the question and we can eliminate what? We can eliminate information, library, and also degrees, because if you remember, somewhere Swamiji says that we go and we acquire a university degree, but that does not make us educated in the right sense. So for this question, it is none of the above as per the author of this passage. Okay, so this was or should not have been very difficult to answer. Even while I was discussing the question, if you had paid attention, you would have been able to get the answer much before I myself gave it to you. The second one, as per the author, the aim of education should be. What should be the aim of education? Is it to help a person build his or her character? Yes. To help a person earn his or her livelihood? This is also something that Swamiji mentioned. To help a person develop his or her intellect? Yes. So in effect, the actual answer is option D. Now, in such questions where the answer is all of the above, we need to stay more focused, because you may have seen that the very first choice was correct. So if you think that this choice is the answer and then you don't read through the remaining, then you could actually end up marking on an incorrect choice, and then even though you know the answer, you would end up losing marks. So you have to be careful. Go through all the choices, quickly skim them so that you know what exactly every choice says, and then mark the correct choice. So here all the three options are correct, and so we go to D as the suitable choice for this question. Question number 3 now. According to the author. So once again, according to the author, the country wants what? The country wants massive willpower, spirit of philanthropy, iron and steel industries, or all of the above. So we need to quickly go back and check. Where was this? We had this in the third paragraph. What our country now wants? Muscles of iron, nerves of steel, gigantic wills, which nothing can resist, which can penetrate the mysteries and secrets of the universe and accomplish blah blah blah. So here he mentions muscles of iron, nerves of steel, and gigantic wills. Gigantic means something which is huge, something which is massive. So can we go with massive willpower? Yes, we can. What about spirit of philanthropy? There is no mention of philanthropy. Philanthropy is love for mankind. So this has not been mentioned, at least in the text that we came across. Iron and steel have been mentioned, but not with regard to industries. Okay, so even this is incorrect, and we know it can't be all of the above because it is only one which is correct. So we go with A. Fine. The next one, question number 4. According to the author, we need to study which of the following? The English language, technical education, Western science, or all of the above. Now here also, if you remember, the author says that we need to study, independent of foreign control, of course, different branches of knowledge that are our own. So everything that's Indian, and of course we need to couple it with English and Western science, technical education, so that we can develop industries, and then all will become comprehensive. So we do need to study the English language, We need to study technical education and Western science. So, because all three are needed or have been mentioned or recommended by the author, the correct answer is actually option D. Okay. So, because it is D, though these are included as choices, we cannot go for any of these individually, and therefore we cancel out all of these and go with D, which encompasses all of them. The next one. According to the author, which among the following is key to attaining knowledge? Key means is of utmost importance, is essential for this. What is it? Attaining knowledge. So, what is essential for attaining knowledge? Is it university degrees, library, concentration of mind, or hard work and sports training? Now, hard work and sports training we did not come across. So, this is easy to eliminate. Can we say it is university degrees? The author says we go abroad and we get a university degree, but then that is not the real education, or it is not reflective of actual education. So, university degrees, keeping that point in mind, can be easily eliminated. Library, the author has not mentioned library as something which is key to attaining knowledge. He merely says that if knowledge were to be information, then libraries and encyclopedias which are full of information could be considered rishis and sages. So, with that in mind, this also can go and we get the correct answer by elimination, C. And otherwise also, if you want to check, you can go to the last paragraph where the author has pointedly told us twice that it is concentration which is the very essence of education. Okay. So, I hope this gets justified. The last one here. Which of the following words is related to the word assimilation? We came across this word in the beginning itself. Whenever we have this kind of vocab question given to us, it is important that we go back and check that part and read that sentence or that portion again to get some clarity. Now, the author has said that we must have life building, man making, character making, assimilation of ideas. So, what is assimilation of ideas? Assimilation means the breaking down of something which is big to smaller parts so that it is easier for us to understand, interpret or comprehend them. Now, this is what is the actual or upfront meaning. The choices are integration, adjustment and acclimatization, and then it also mentions all of the above. So, which is correct with regard to the meaning of the word assimilation in the context in which it has been used. Integration of ideas, yes, it's been mentioned in the context of ideas, assimilation of ideas. So, we integrate ideas, we understand them and then we make them our own. So, this is correct. Adjustment also, because we adjust, we understand, we get to know something. So, this is also something that works. And acclimatization also is relevant. I'll tell you why. Acclimatization means we adjusting ourselves to get suited to the environment, to the climate or to the place in which we are. So, with regard to assimilation of ideas, acclimatization also works. Why? Because we acclimatize ourselves to what is given to us. We understand it, we adjust our thoughts and our learning to that. So, even this makes sense. Fine. So, while each of these is correct, the correct answer is D, because it includes all of these words, and so it is D that we go for. Okay, I hope this was clear.